I love this music. Aurelia, not going to be going to BDD.
Able to last lane for a long time. His stuns have been very, very impressive, so smart to ban away. Usually a red side ban. Usually Taliyah Aurelia is kind of the must ban on red side. If you remember all the way back to game 1, when Jin Air was last on blue side, Zoe first pick in that game. So we'll see any attention is shown towards that pick.
Wouldn't surprise me to see that go through and they pick it up once again. You mentioned the Nocturne. Will they go for any kind of Nocturne banner? Just let it go through. Kingzone did ban it on the blue side in game number 2, but on the red side, deciding Yi is a little bit more important.
Doesn't want KaKAO to come back with all the farm and do the big damages, so Yi will be banned. I have to smile every time you see Master Yi banned. What a world we live in. Taliyah still open. Expected to be the last ban on red side. KaKAO has been playing plenty of it in solo queue, and we've, of course, done our research and seen he's been playing plenty of Taliyah, like every jungler was tasked to do, and very interesting, a Zoe blue side ban tells us the priorities are shifting a little bit for Jin Air.
Yeah, they have other ideas for their first pick. Did first pick this Zoe in game number 1, as we said. So now I'm just curious to see what squeaks through and what Jin Air is putting priority on.
Taliyah, Graves, Jax, Nocturne, the most played for KaKAO in solo queue, so the Nocturne is there, but the Graves, a very possible champion to come. Look at this, a Braum ban. Very peculiar, given that Braum Graves has been losing. It's almost a favor.
Yeah.
That means Taliyah's open. Taliyah should be locked in. It took 4 seconds yesterday. They've already had 16. What's going on here?
Thinking about Camille.
Really?
Don't know about this.
Taliyah's open, guys.
Maybe they forgot. You know, it's only not been banned one time, and it was picked in 4 seconds. But they're going for Camille. Have to think that that's a mistake, Papa.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. Taliyah left open and not snapped up in the first round. Whether you want to say Peanut in the jungle with that power level or BDD in the mid lane as one of the most famous Taliyah players of all time. Interesting. See what's going on here, though. Camille is very powerful. As maybe it actually took 45 seconds of champ select for someone to realize Taliyah was open.
They scoop it up, and Peanut's
like, I got it!
He hugs himself. He's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to win the game.
Yay!
I will win game 3 and bring honor back to Kingzone with my Taliyah.
Well, that was weird. Took them 40 seconds longer between 2 teams to realize that Taliyah was open. Interesting.
It almost feels like that's the reality. Like they actually forgot and they gave up the Taliyah, but you have to wonder what's going through Jin Air's mind. Dr. Mundo's still available. I mean, that's a good pick. Wouldn't have been surprised to see that as first pick, but with so much other stuff left available, it does squeak its way through.
Could have been Taliyah Mundo as a duo pick on red side, but Jin Air surprised them probably with the Mundo priority. Mundo has a pretty happy timing as Taliyah as the game goes on, because Taliyah runs out of damage pretty fast. So outscale potential here for Jin Air, even though we know all about Taliyah's power level. Jin Air seemed very unsure about what to pick and just go with the Rakan they hovered earlier. See where the draft goes from here. Seems like Camille will probably be KaKAO. I imagine he'll want to be rolling with that, but it could be So1 as well. He's played in the top lane many times in spring season. All right, Kingzone. What are you thinking about? Aatrox strikes me as a champion that did pretty well against Dr. Mundo. That could be considered. We saw it from Keen twice already. That Darius has been tried a couple of times. Early game, very powerful. And Kingzone say, all right, pack it up. 15 minutes, we want to decide the game.
I like it. Trying to challenge the Mundo in the lane, get ahead in that way. It's not the Ornn that's going to sit back and get dove over and over and over again. It's a Darius that will be looking for those opportunities to bleed him down, dunk him in. So let's see if Kong can actually do it and carry another game.
No, bot laner chosen by Teddy in the first round means that Xayah will be banned. We actually see more Rakan X than Xayah Rakan together, so I don't know if the ban is even necessary, but something that Kingzone don't want to be dunked by an entire bot lane. We think that Kingzone are looking to put their entire bot lane in the second round. Not 100% certain, but very, very possible. And look at this, an Ashe ban by Kingzone. Curious. Already a lot of engage from Rakan and the Camille on blue side, so unsure why they would consider going for an Ashe ban here.
Yeah, I mean, kind of interesting to see that one come through. Another AD carry going to be taken off the table in the Ezreal, and Lucian just about as fast as you can say the name, it gets scooped up.
Power level-wise, this is the pick. Not great against Mundo as the game goes on, and not great against Draven if Teddy is willing to pick it. Big pick in the LPL is Draven, because even against Bruisers with the stand aside me, he can do so well. But they seem to be thinking about it. Will they pull the trigger on the Draven? He looks like he's asking his coach for a Draven. Will he get a Draven? The answer is yes.
There it is. Draven comes to the LCK. We're going to see Teddy, of all people, on it, too. What a great just player to pick that one up.
And this is going to be a treat. Draven does very well, famously into Sivir. He does well into Lucian. Standing trade so difficult against that Draven. And you know what? They're considering playing around with the LeBlanc. If you knew Taliyah was going to be mid lane, that'd be a pretty good pick into Lulu. It doesn't work. They take Ryze mid lane. Interesting stuff on the side of Jinair. It'll be a first Ryze mid lane in a long, long while. I don't think we're going to see Draven mid lane, but it's been done before, at least in solo queue.
Yeah.
Tyler One has fun with that one.
We've all seen that from time to time for you know, varying levels of success in solo queue. Alistar being hovered here for Gorilla. He is going to swap it last moment to Nocturne. Probably in the mid lane.
Interesting. I think mid lane is actually going to be the Taliyah. I think they will stick with Taliyah.
Wow, okay.
After all, Taliyah's support could also happen. Taliyah's support is not bad.
It's so hard to know at this point, but
I think Taliyah mid lane, Nocturne jungle is the way they're going to go. That seems like the most obvious choice here. They're going to also give up Taliyah jungle, so seems like the flex pick nature of the Taliyah strikes again, and we don't see a superpower Runic Echo Taliyah unless there's a last-second swap, and there is not.
There is not, so we will have BDD on the Taliyah. You mentioned before, he's one of the best we have here in Korea. And Lava trying to pave the way, saying, hey, mid lane Taliyah, also not bad.
And it's a flexibility that was kind of engineered with them not committing to everything, a Ryze being selected, and Taliyah may have less wave clear, but it's usually done pretty comfortable in this Ryze matchup. The LeBlanc would have stopped this because LeBlanc smashes Taliyah more often than not. We do see a Nocturne in KaKAO's triumphant return 4 years later into the LCK, but it is not, in fact, the KaKAO that will be using it. It is Peanut, and that's kind of a fun thing to think about.
Yeah, Peanut trying to show him how it's done. I'm also very curious to see how Khan can do up against Sohwan. Darius versus Dr. Mundo, trying to counter him in the lane, but we've seen it go wrong from time to time. Linderong over at Hanwha Life did not have a good time with that.
And let's watch bot lane. We got Draven versus Lucian. We're popping off anyway.
It is going to be a great game, guys. Go out there, tell your friends. Game number 3, the decider match. Let's get into it. Here we go, game number 3. Decider match between these two teams.
Spirit of the LMS, TPA Mundo coming out here, and they did beat Kingzone twice in the group stages of MSI. Did not win the semifinal, but fun little thing there. And wow, first game of Draven of the season. Draven has been an ironic pick in the LCK for a long time. The Praven was infamous for being awful, and Arrow, who at some point was watching the games today, is another one of our resident Draven pickers. I used to joke that he got 1 Draven loss a season just in his contract because they didn't win those games ever. But here we go. Game number 3, we've been gifted. We got some new picks. Here are the runes. If you've been wondering what people are rocking on some of these champions, I see a Gathering Storm on both AD carries. What does the meta become?
One on Nocturne too, so what has the meta become? That's really the big question. It's slowly reverting itself back into AD carries. Draven up here to counter Lucian in the bottom lane. It's not Mordekaiser versus Vladimir anymore.
Here comes Teddy and Nova. Double Whirling Blades already available, of course. Can get that very early, and this is a lane where both Lulu and Lucian have to be pretty careful, to say the least.
Yeah. This is a meadow where you stand on where the Scuttle Crab is going to spawn. so that you can get the quickest possible clear of this without your smite.
Peanut went red buff into Scuttle because he didn't want to have to deal with KaKAO, who had double ward down, or at least had a single ward down, so knows red buff was taken. KaKAO actually is very aware of what's happening here. You see the assist ping already. Bounces himself over. That was spotted. KaKAO, famous for his jungle pathing. The pathing jungler was KaKAO and Dandy to a degree in 2014. Khan coming to help this invade, though, for Peanut.
Look at this. That Rune Prism going to save Grace a lot of damage, but this meta, one decided on level 2s at times, and at least the blue buff will be decidedly given over to the Nocturne here.
KaKAO was ahead for a moment, but then because of the matchup of Darius controlling Mundo in the early levels, Darius comes up, Khan playing with his jungler this time. Nice play there from Kingzone. Because they were on the front foot, they were able to shield Peanut and guarantee him that enemy blue buff.
Nicely done. Taliyah working out well too, just zoning away the Rise, not even giving them a chance. Khan also with the earlier roam down, and looks like this Scuttle Crab looking to go over to the side of the Jin Green Wings, specifically KaKAO. Going to be able to net this one for himself.
Level 2 window has certainly not really been used to great efficiency. Still level 2, one camp away from getting it. We saw Haru wield the level 2 Camille to the maximum in the match a couple of days ago. Maybe we'll see him do it again if he's playing for Genji in our second series of the night. Be a bit more mooted here from KaKAO on his return to the LCK. And in the bot lane, yep, as we mentioned, Draven can have a lot of lane control in this matchup.
Draven's going to have his fun. And Teddy will as well. I want to see what Teddy can actually do on this champion. A good Draven. We've all seen them from time to time. They can get really scary.
Worth noting that Nocturne is really strong against Draven, at least in influencing his positioning, because there's no ability for the stand aside to be used to disengage him. He can just use his spell shield in the air and guaranteed he's going to get, you would say, the ultimate, the Q, and an auto probably at some point. So there is actually going to be some damage always laid down on Teddy. But in the lane, with no engage between Lulu and Lucian, it is, yeah, a very good lane for Draven. Something like a Leona, something like a Rakan who can close the distance and engage on Draven. That's a good sign. In this sort of a lane, he's got a free time.
Yeah, trying to get aggressive down there in the later stages of the game, as you were talking about. Draven's going to be dove, but no one really to peel for him, as Sohan and everyone else is going to be looking to die.
Peanut's ahead of this plate. Peanut's already here.
Okay, we're going to have a 2v2, but Sohan already getting super low, and he's not level 6. KaKAO, too late to that one. First blood going to be given over to Peanut.
I'm loving the first 5 minutes of this game. This is the sort of game that jungle enthusiasts should really look at for pathing, because KaKAO was ahead of the pathing, and then Kingzone as a team found a way to beat it. This time the deep ward allows Peanut to be there for the counter gank, read a gank, get the gank off. Really interesting stuff. Very nice passage of play.
Yeah, that's a great way to deal with Mundo in the top lane as well. Get up there before the enemy jungler and make a gank happen. Sohan getting himself into a position to not even be able to flash. Now Grace in a little bit of trouble here. Is going to be able to use that phase rush to get away to safety. BDD almost dying. Here's KaKAO, still level 3. At least going to be able to force that flash away from Gorilla.
He'll get out, but has to give up his flash. And now Draven once again looks at the Lulu and says, you're going to die in one rotation of damage. Ignite, grand entrance into a couple of whirling deaths will yield that death onto the Lulu, so Gorilla already out of lane. It's as Scuttle spawns on the bot side, but note that KaKAO is 2 levels behind Peanut, who's watching on.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't going to matter in time, right? Gorilla's going to come over here. The smite comes in over to KaKAO, so at least he does net himself level 4.
And Teddy actually used the teleport just because he could afford to and wouldn't really lose anything in the lane. Was there just in case there was a fight or a collapse coming from BDD. There wasn't, so it looked flashy, but in the end didn't matter much.
So Peanut one step ahead on the Nocturne up against KaKAO. Famous Nocturne player. It's looking good for Kingzone this time around.
And it's been a very macro game. We've definitely had some games where macro need not apply, with the meta being all over the place, but I've really enjoyed the first 7 minutes and had a lot of jungle-specific things to look at. There's definitely one you want to tweet at Kobe. He'll enjoy this one. He loves a bit of jungle pathing.
Yeah.
But the lead is to the Darius, who you already mentioned, has the snowball items, double snowball here of lane and also investment banker coming between the two items. Mid lane.
Oh, going for it. Already level 6 here is Peanut. He feared a minion.
He missed a skill shot.
Okay. Grace still did have his flash, so had everything landed, maybe even with the flash he would have died, but with the way things went down in terms of the fear and the seismic shove both missing, Grace just walks away from it alive.
You know, didn't think Nocturne had many skill shots, and yet Peanut invited us to see that, yes, he does.
He proved to everyone there is a possibility you can actually miss his fear.
I just love when you see that little bit of humility required, where it's like, wow, you were ahead of KaKAO for multiple different jungle camps, and then you feared him in.
Not his brightest moments here on the Rift, although he is level 6 onto a still level 4 KaKAO, and somehow, some way, amongst all that pressure, Grace does get the blue buff.
So it never fell into smite range for Peanut. KaKAO smited early anyway, and the blue at the same time. Nice little duo of spells there, smite and the overload midair was the one that picked it up there. Peanut will feel a bit frustrated by that, but communication from Jin could also just been a crapshoot, but it looked like it was calculated.
Generally, for pro gamers, like to give them the benefit of the doubt. And, well, Peanut is leveling really fast. He's level 7 alongside Khan and BDD, whereas on the opposite side, actually, Grace is the most leveled person on the map right now. Hit level 8 before BDD.
Bot lane, Teddy's had plenty of control, but notice it hasn't yielded anything except the one scuttle we saw taken as a team on the bot side of the map. Speaking of scuttles, 2-2, I believe, is the scuttle score. As Nocturne continues to play around the top side. Yep, just updated, so it's a soccer score here, 2-2.
Yeah.
Spoilers for the World Cup, I guess. But in the mid lane, no Weaver's Wall yet from Talia, so BDD just kind of been on farming duty, doesn't have the same wave control as before, and you'll notice that even against Ryze, a good matchup in the past, not growing a huge lead. The huge lead, that's happening top side.
Khan is having his fun, right? He's showing, hey, I can play Mundo and I can play against Mundo. Obviously, a different matchup on the top side had a lot of help from Peanut, but that's going to be fantastic news for Kingzone. They get their Nocturne fed. The Darius is going to be fed as well. And Mundo's going to have a much harder time getting to that point that you guys saw in game number 2.
Remember, Mundo had a free farm lane when we saw him in both games against Ornn. That's Ornn to some degree. In this game, attacking the Mundo changes the consideration. Mundo is very diveable. In game number 1, you mentioned, I'd like to see them dive the Mundo at 6, kind of ironically. But actually, he pops the ult, takes 25% of not a lot of health. The regen isn't 100%, and he does die. He is very diveable, and the Darius dunk can do a great job there. So taking down his turret, delaying the time till 4-item Mundo would be very big for the side of Khan, who has actually bought Swifty boots so he can potentially stay in range of Mundo for longer.
It's always nice on the Darius. You see a lot of solo queue players take Ghost, but when you're in pro play, you want to have that TP for more map presence. And what other way to simulate it through items is to get Swifties. So he does pick that up. Not going to go for the Merc Treads, even up against Khan, Ryze, Mundo, and even Camille. Besides, the Swifties are better.
If you think about where Swiftness boots will be relevant, you think of the slows in this game. The stand aside on Draven is a small slow, but I don't think you'd buy it for that. Honestly, to me, I think Swiftness boots basically because you want to walk in and scoop up the Mundo. The first cleaver is such a large initial slow that it might make you miss the apprehend. So I think it's largely about hitting the apprehend on the Dr. Mundo that he's gone for the Swiftness boots.
That's a good idea. Really breaking down the fight into what becomes important, especially as team gets very fed up here. Khan going for a little bit of a roam, but already the question mark pings coming out here saying Khan could be right next to you, and that he is.
Need to be on the front foot to Kingzone. We already know what late game Dr. Mundo looks like. Have the turret top side. The Rift Herald seems like a free objective because Jin have no pressure top side of the map. Looking for more, looking for more. It's getting control on the bottom side, so far the river has been surrendered by the side of Jin, which with a Draven Rakan on the bot side, it's not something you necessarily calculated as the coach of Jin.
Now, Draven's still slightly ahead, at least in the CS, but it's negligible, essentially, as they're very, very close. Working towards that Bloodthirster. See once he does pick that up, if he can actually begin to take the bottom lane by storm. But so far, it's all eyes on Khan, and even Peanut on that bit of a fed Nocturne picks up the Ninja Tabis after the Warriors can begin to do a bit of diving here.
And waiting with bated breath. We had a really nice start here for Kingzone. Top side, some smart pathing from Peanut. Game is slowed down subsequently. KaKAO needs time to catch up. He's about a level behind in terms of experience. Didn't see Peanut's level 8 experience bar, but I imagine it's around the midpoint as well. Inferno will be a very nice pickup for both teams. A high damage game is, well, Khan can definitely close the distance.
Looks like Apprehend was already used, but the Swiftness boots, you were talking about them, give you a little bit of rundown potential, but after all that, the window will be faster.
BDD not throwing in a Weaver's Wall just yet as he missed the cannon also. Oh. Pull one out for BDD. Feels bad, man.
Worst feeling as a laner at all.
And this is at least in service of clearing them away fast and stealing away another blue buff. Rise with blue probably outpushes new Talia, so denying that blue buff twice has probably been the thing that has allowed BDD to have so much control around mid.
Yeah. Peanut just with that earlier gank and a bit of the pressure with the level lead that he got has really been taking this game away from KaKAO, making his return to the LCK not as prominent.
Well, I think Draven's starting to get blue blades, which is what I call when you have a lot of farm and a lot to cash in, but no cash in yet.
Blue blades? I just realized what you meant. That's a good one, Papa.
Thank you. I'm here all night.
You've been working on those.
I'm here all night and all season.
Yeah.
And almost
tomorrow
every day of the
and
week.
The day after.
But not Monday.
Not the day after that, yeah.
No.
Unfortunately. But then 6 days in a row afterwards, so. You guys will have your fill of Papa. It's not going anywhere.
Despy wants to cash in. I think it's around 400 gold worth of axe catches. And then, of course, the base as well. So he's in a pretty good spot when it comes to being able to get going. And this is the old build. Bloodthirster's there. The Ninja Tabi. There's pretty tanky Draven, which means the Nocturne one-shot is going to be just a chunk out instead.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, you know, Nocturne does his initial burst, the ult Q, and Fear, his passive comes through, a little bit of extra lifesteal, but after all that, if you can sustain through that and you have the help, a little bit of peel from your allies, the Nocturne himself is not going to be super tanky, and so you might just be able to burst him down.
You could definitely go, but you could also manufacture tankiness. You could go for, say, Bloodthirster, Phantom Dance to Death Dance. It's not a huge damage build, but you definitely don't die fast at all.
It allows you to deal with that initial burst, and then you can stick around in the fight instead of, you know, throwing 2 axes at Nocturne and then dying.
And Nocturne can only build full damage. No semi-tank Nocturnes, it doesn't work. So maybe if you just trivialize the Nocturne, you've done your job as Draven in some weird way to consider it. Could also build an Infinity Edge 4th after that, because you have the Phantom Dancer already for critical strike. Just thinking out loud, we have no idea what to expect here, but Bloodthirster first, a standard Draven build through many reworks of Draven and also the ult.
Yeah, I mean, in general, say he was building full damage, he might be doing 100%, but do 75% of that full damage, but sticking alive for, you know, 300% more of the fight is just going to be overall a lot more damage. So you just got to stay alive. That's going to be the name of the game here for Teddy. And we've seen what he can do when he can stay alive on those hyper carries. This time is going to be the Draven. Another new test. Peanut waiting for this one, actually. The counter engage here, and double TP from the blue side, one for the red side. Peanut trying to get in there with the wild growth. A nice stopwatch there for KaKAO, keeps him alive. And Mundo, he's already beginning to pop off here, gets 1 kill. Talia for BDD, not able to get anyone with the seismic shove. And unfortunately for Kingzone, Jinair run away with that fight.
Only a single kill, only onto the Lucian. Crucially, Teddy cannot cash in. He still has to hold on to all those adoration stacks and not be able to pick up basically most of a Phantom Dancer or whatever Zeal item in one go. They back away from here. Jinair reset the map. Kingzone are going to be able to push in mid. Grace doesn't get caught, but this does mean Jin Air get the all-important Infernal Drake.
We've seen what happens in terms of snowballing. You win one fight around the 15-minute mark, and all of a sudden the game can go away with you. It is just one kill, but then again, it's the Infernal Drake, and it's a go on the bottom lane turret, which is already pretty low. It's not going to be the first turret of the game, but it gets them a nice chunk of gold here to try to catch up.
The first ever competitive Draven build was Bloodthirst to Old Last Whisper. This is the first patch Old Last Whisper has come back into. There isn't a lot of armor on the enemy team, so it's definitely not something that's being demanded. But because it does total percentage armor pen rather than bonus armor pen, I wonder. Just wanted to point it out there because, yes, the first time was way back when Last Whisper was in its original form. But watch the replay here. If this fight leads to Teddy cashing in, it might be a game changer for Jin Air. They still win the fight, focusing down the closest target for the longest time. Not enough damage to take down Teddy already with just the Bloodthirster, but So1 takes the kill on Mundo.
Yeah. Steals that one away. Mundo does what he wants, basically, and ends the fight at full health, even with the grievous wounds. Prey just getting stunned up for a little bit too long against all that CC, getting caught in all of it. And Teddy surviving very well against the dive of the Nocturne, even with the wild growth there on the Nocturne.
Yeah, the damage dealt charts. Teddy marginally doing the most damage, but could see that they had one opening burst from Peanut, and the moment he had to disengage with his own flash, he didn't have really enough follow-up damage. Can't quite late into the story. Successful stuff from Jin Air, and the more times Nocturne dives in and Teddy lives, the better time gets for Jin Air.
Looking for a play onto BDD, level 13 right now, but not much of an escape here. Peanut gonna try to help out here onto the Rise, who is gonna get very low, and they do take him out, but the rest of Jin Air trying to come on in. BDD will go down to another kill onto the Mundo. Peanut, though, does get out with the help of Lulu. Another 1-for-1 trade.
1-for-1, not really moving the map, and of course there is no objective to fight around. Didn't mention the whole time it's Conqueror from Teddy. Won't be able to continuously re-proc it, but will be useful. He tries to do damage to Khan and friends as the game goes on. Continues to cash in. Not cash in, but at least stack up the adoration. Wait and see. Rapid Fire Cannon will be the optimistic choice. Shiv could be considered, and the Phantom Dancer would represent the safe choice. The moment that BDD was being flanked here, he needed the complete engage by the Nocturne just to have a chance to even trade this. So 1-for-1 is decent, given that Jin Air was able to respond first, but no further kills to either side.
Yeah, you saw that for Khan, Nova did go back and secure the knock-up and kill onto BDD rather than helping secure the kill onto Peanuts. I feel like the Mundo probably would have been able to deal with that and get the kill, but means that they don't have a chance of getting Peanut. Either way, wanted to be sure. And so we continue back into the game. Mundo once again getting farmed even after that pretty shoddy start. Still has a stopwatch, but really lacking in the CS here in this
He's
game.
probably about 30 CS behind effectively because it's an assist versus 2 kills. He's definitely not hit his critical mass, and Darius to some degree is. If you're going Trinity Force Darius, you're not really ever going to be a true tank. You're going very much for your impact around 15 to 25 minutes, which based on the day one meta was looking exactly the way to build the Darius. Kingzone have to actually pull the trigger and trade up soon, because while the Mundo's not going to be a monster at 30 minutes, the 40-minute guarantee is still there.
I love that guarantee. I'm sure Jin Air does as well. And they also have the chance to actually get their 80 carry to have some fun with the Draven. We have the Nocturne going down into the bottom side, though. It looks like it's only Rise, and he gets destroyed, blown up, 2v1. That's the global of BDD coming on in and helping with the kill of Nocturne.
And that's a decisive pick. It's not a 1-for-1, it's a 1-for-0. That'll finally get them an objective. If Kingzone can do that 2 more times, then maybe you can get the game done before Dr. Mundo is truly online. They keep pushing in the bottom side, actually. Hard for Jin Air to pull off too much in mid, while Draven's great in lane and pretty decent in team fights. His ability to siege is definitely not one of his strong points. However, Gorilla and Prey showing a lot of respect to how many members are here of Jin Air.
Well, generally you don't want to race against the Rift Herald, but it looks like that bottom lane is going to back off as Rise makes his return. So at the end of it all, they give away that tier 1 on the bottom side, and they trade tier 1 in mid for the second tier in the bottom. But
doesn't look
either
like
way, it's good for Kingzone.
Doesn't look like they'll get an extra charge either out of Shelly as she's halted by minions. Going to watch the replay. Rise has his flash up, but at the end of the day, oh, the fear tether into the seismic shove. That's a wombo combo in and of itself. Flash still up for Grace, but 2 turrets, pretty heavy cost for the side of Kingzone. KaKAO has gone for the poor man's Trinity Force build of, well, I didn't do enough to get a Trinity Force, so maybe I'll just go on a one-way trip.
I mean, it helps lock down the Lucian or lock down the Talia later on.
You should find a name for maybe the Valhalla build where you just embrace death in some ways.
I mean, witness me as I go in and I help my team. I'm not really the damage dealer, but
all right, we'll call it the Valhalla. I'm relying on you to say witness me at the right time.
All right, okay.
You're the play-by-play.
I got this.
That's your role.
I've seen the movie. I've seen that one.
Talking about Frozen, right?
Well, Graves may be frozen right now. There's really no escape for him unless he wants to go for the Realm Warp, but he'll choose not to as it was down. And Khan just 1v1s him. Easy peasy. 0 and 3 for Grace.
Just to remind you guys, Grace's flash was up both those times, so I don't know what's going on there. Kingzone baiting around Baron. They got the double control ward. This is exactly how you pull this off.
Oh, nice blue trinket there. Gonna spot them out. Still could go for that, or they could just TP behind and take the 5v4. Trying to get on top of the Draven. Hear that Bloodthirster gonna help out though.
He gets in as well.
And the Nocturne is gonna get up, and here's Khan in the back line trying to get onto the Draven. He will be able to kill him, and Nova with absolutely nowhere to go. A double kill for Khan. And he's the big carry in this game again.
While Nocturne explodes, they do get the kills, and Kingzone could look for bigger objectives. Huge cash in, I believe 1350 gold was the cash in, as Draven now has some sick items.
Picked up an Infinity Edge now.
Yep.
So, well, Draven's going to be scary, but how do you deal with the level 15, 3, 0, and 1 Darius at this point?
He plays around with this, but he had 25, 21 gold, and now it's Phantom Dancer and most of Infinity Edge. Finding the Infinity Edge didn't really do anything, so it's actually the right move not to buy it there.
Good idea.
We'll watch the replay. But this is the worry when you go against even not Phantom Dash, just Bloodthirst. He's actually full health when Nocturne dies.
Darius, you didn't see him.
That was definitely the part that changed the story. So the good start is a worry for the Nocturne diving in the future, but nice position from Khan to lap him up.
Yeah. I mean, you think about different fights where once Teddy gets his flash back up, maybe they'll be able to blow up the Nocturne, flash away from Darius. You get the Hextech ultimatum onto Darius with Camille, and then maybe from range you can take him out. That would be like a perfect type scenario for Jin Air. We'll see if they can actually pull it off.
You sound like one of those sports fans that looking at, you know the.
We only need 3 touchdowns.
No.
And
it's even worse
safety.
than that. You know, in like the possible trades for the future, where it's like if we trade these 7 players for those 6, we're gonna make a big upgrade.
Yeah.
And someone's always like, yeah, no one ever trades 13 players in one go. You're talking about too many variables. Needs to be a bit more simple, as Darius did some dunk mastering in the last fight.
0 damage for the Nocturne. I swear he did ult Draven.
No, it's into the shield.
Into the shield doesn't count then,
if you don't break a shield, you can finish a recall, and it's the same for damage dealt on the graph.
Okay, interesting. So it's effective damage dealt, I guess it should say.
Yes.
But still counts as 0. Sorry, Peanut. He had a good start of the game, but that Nocturne ult not really helping you out.
All right, Kingzone once again want to control this Baron pit, and you know, if Khan is the one stopping people from walking by, I don't even know if a big wizard could get past this Darius. He is ready to go. Not quite level 16 for just the most true damage, but plenty of it. Full battle build as well with the Sterix Gauge.
Yeah, he's going to be popping off eventually. I mean, he is already popping off, I guess. Just a little bit behind in terms of CS onto the Draven, but still rocking those big items. Had to break his build a little bit with the Executioner's calling, but it's definitely worth it.
And Draven has all 3, so there's definitely a team fight where Draven free hits and Jin Air win.
Yeah.
Peanut knows now the one-way trip is true. He'll kind of have to go in and then just pretty instantly use the stopwatch. Lulu ult or no. Here's Bray, though, who has been popping off in solo queue. Before the season started, he was 9-1 on the Lucian. So his Lucian Lucian mechanics are definitely in.
Khan is that guy in your solo queue game that's 8-0 because your top laner fed, and then he just walks around the map, and wherever he goes, you absolutely have to respect him. And you saw Nova trying to scuttle away from him, rotating from the bot lane. It's a scary thought. You get caught by the Darius and you don't have your summoners, you're probably dead. What's
KaKAO's next item? That's my question. Is it going to be like a dead man's plate to be like, well, it sort of
Ruby
does
Crystal.
A bit of damage? What is it going into?
His next item is a control ward. That's basically all he has been in this game, a ward.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Valdez. I was trying to create discourse, and you decided to just poop on it. Thank you very much.
Hey, at least he hasn't died yet.
That's true.
0-0-2.
And he's kept up he's kept up his Guardian Angel.
True. He has more than 612 damage as well, so there's that. Beating out some of the other junglers we've seen that we may see later tonight.
That's how other series trended.
Yeah. Just in case you guys are joining us late, the series is actually going to one of the longer ones, actually. We're nearing 8 p.m. here in South Korea, and we will have another series later on, Gen.G versus SKT, the team that everybody loves to love or loves to hate.
They're definitely the most famous team. Reasons differ as to why sometimes, as Deadman's Plate is in the game, but is on the Darius, who now is super fast with Swifties and Deadman's Plate. All right, Kingzone, you need to find a way to take this Baron. That is the big thing that's delaying this game, is that a Baron is pretty necessary. Baron and then a Weaver's Wall behind an objective sounds like a pretty fun time. Note the Weaver's Wall has been nerfed since the last Taliyah meta. It no longer lasts 8 seconds of stun, effectively. When it was behind a turret, no one wanted to flash over it. Now has that standardized, I believe, 6-second duration at all points, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I believe so. It's actually a big nerf. You know, it's a big deal. The Taliyah getting strength
mostly for
elsewhere.
competitive play.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. There's that engage. He finds prey, and they should have enough damage, but no. Actually, the wild growth keeps him alive, and the culling is going to go back on top. Nova will go down.
Teddy?
Low. Teddy beginning to pop off, but it's not enough. The Taliyah is able to throw enough rocks. Here's the Mundo, but this time around against 4 members all alone, does have a Rise to help out here, so they are going to respect it and actually just try to push into the mid lane. Grace still trying to make this interesting. There's the bounce onto Prey, and they will actually push him back.
They're not able to have all their pieces together. Their chess pieces are kind of all over the place, and that means that even though Teddy, as you can see, is close to being the carry he needs to be, he couldn't be, ends up going fairly even. The kill score better, the side of Kingzone, but they are not able to actually move their territory relevantly through this. And watch the replay. Consider where everything is at when this starts. We see Prey in the mid lane. They're clearing wards. On the one side, we see Prey focus down. Dr. Mundo spends a lot of time walking into the fight and 0 time actually shutting down the enemy backline. So honestly, a lot of Mundo's value in team fights is wasted. All he really does is slow down Khan at the start of the fight.
Yeah. But then at the end, the threat of the Rise Mundo is enough. And they do actually keep their feet underneath them. Kingzone still only 4,000 gold ahead. KaKAO this time, he's finally died, and he finally has lost his TA, so we'll have to be more careful about how he does engage. Doesn't want to just throw his life away.
You never said witness me, by the way, Valdez.
Oh,
you had one job.
It was Guardian Angel. It wasn't the same. He didn't truly die. I mean, he did eventually, but that was just kind of anticlimactic. Maybe next time, Papa. We'll see.
I'm giving you the silent treatment. Awkward for the cast, but good for me.
Yeah. It's a good look on you, the silent treatment. Would like to hear a little bit more of that. Maybe as we do go on later in this week. More 0 damage. This time it's for the Rakan. A lot of low damage on other members here.
Don't you have something to play by play, Valdez?
I mean, an Infernal Drake, not too important. Papa Smithy, he's a little bit hurt right now. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings.
I just had high expectations for you that weren't met, you know? So I'm sorry for believing in you, Valdez.
I know. I'm sorry, too, that you believed in me. Maybe next time.
Do we believe in Jin Air? It's still possible for them to win this game. It's closer than the numbers appear.
Look at Khan. They're trying to bait them forward.
Why would anyone walk there?
It's kind of a game of chicken.
No reason for the side of Jin Air to go bot lane. Turns out the only objective on the map is top side, so that's not going to lead to a face check. Kingzone are being much less decisive than you might imagine. Now, they don't really have a tank when it comes tanking Baron, given that Khan has gone for flanking duty. And doesn't really have too many tank stats to his name. So starting Baron and turning is actually remarkably difficult for the side of Kingzone. They're going to finally start it purely with damage.
And they do have that in heaps and bounds, especially with the Talia Lucian. Even the Nocturne pretty good. Jin Air not reacting very fast, and there's the Weaver's Wall. It's nerfed, but it should be good enough. Let's see how it is. 6 seconds coming down. The Redemption helps out Peanut, and that is going to be it. But lots of members trapped in the pit here. BDD getting low, too. It's going to go down, and another one in the Lulu, too. So that's 2 kills in the trade for the Baron.
Yeah, 2 kills out of it. Some flashes were down. Other people don't want to flash over the Weaver's Wall, but 2 kills for the Baron is still a pretty good trade for the side of Kingzone. And just like with game 1, I'm just not ready to believe in the inevitability of a Kingzone victory. I'm not 100% clear. Still, this game still feels pretty in the balance despite most of the big wins going the way of Kingzone. The Mundo is only getting bigger. The Spirit Visage to complete 3 items is probably just a teleport back to base away. With those 2 kills down, that means slightly less Baron buffs. Crucially, Talia won't be able to play a side lane. They've already got 1 turret top side, and they're continuing on for a second one.
Should be able to get this, but as I say that, no, the Nocturne is coming in, and it's looking like it should be enough onto KaKAO. Nice stopwatch usage there, but the Rise doing a lot of damage, but here comes Prey from behind, and Duncan. The Mundo is going to be able to do it to get the kill. Grace getting low, but they're actually able to turn it around. Can the Draven do enough damage? Rise is going to pick up the 1 kill, and once again, Kingzone not going to fully commit as they are able to turn around with some damage.
This Draven is massive. If he is not held down, and they don't have a lot of tools to hold him down, he's not going to walk in melee range of a Darius again, you would imagine, in the remainder of the game. Peanut can't shut him down. They don't have a lot of hard CC. This could still be one of the Teddy Fountain laser carries that he made his name on. Watching the replay, and, well, unfortunately, KaKAO's pretty useless in this game. He's going to just die at the start of it, and this looked like with the flank coming from Prey, it'd all be over. Even after the 2nd kill, they're able to answer Khan, who got very greedy, trying to face check everything. They finally show respect, and it only ends up being a 2-for-1.
It's 1 axe and 1 overload, and he just gets pounded in the face. Darius, he does a lot of damage himself, but not the most tanky, even though he did go for that fighter build that Darius usually does. Let's check out the damage in that last one. Our resident Camille did 0 damage again, and didn't even use the Hextech Ultimatum, by the way. I guess he was feared towards the end of that fight, but didn't even get a chance.
I'm not sure that was at 1 or 2 autos by the Draven. It definitely wasn't more than 2. So
I think it was 1.
Yeah.
It feels like 1. You know, the Darius was at about 1/3 health.
Definitely a lot of power loaded onto this game. Very, very even. Exciting stuff. Didn't know Kingzone Jin Air would go this way, but after Jin Air winning game 1, perhaps that was the sign that not all the kinks are sorted out yet for Kingzone. KaKAO with a bit of a merry-go-round. Weaver's Wall.
Okay, we got a wall here. Not going to be super effective. It does get those Baron up minions in range, but again, they don't have that engage onto Teddy, and they're still scared. It's really about Khan up against Sohwan, is able to push in up on the top side.
Takes the turret, a lot more turret damage. Sohwan not going to die straight up to the Darius, but hasn't reached full oppressive raid boss Mundo state. Maybe even a KaKAO Stoneplate might be recommended. Nova in a flanking position. He's not spotted.
Will he go for it? No, a couple of rocks. They're going to find him.
KaKAO just died to the culling.
I was looking at Nova. KaKAO just dies on the left side. Didn't even notice that one. I guess that's just about his use in this game. But
no, Valdez.
We didn't even get to witness him that time. He didn't even go in.
He's going for the behind Trinity Force. Oh, it's so ugly.
Oh, God.
Look at that.
Don't look at him.
You can't thrift shop 36 minutes into the game. It's terrible.
Yeah.
He's already shown up to the fancy dress party, and now he's trying to find a suit. It's too late, mate.
No. At this point, you want to go tanky, I guess stack some armor, survive that initial burst, and actually get a decent engage to help out so, you know, the Rise and the Mundos and the Rakans can get in range and follow up engage. But a Trinity Force from behind, who are you really going to be bursting? I guess maybe that backline if you survive that long. It's just not a good idea.
Both of these junglers are the most anticlimactic. It's like, yeah, oh, I died instantly.
They're both saying, witness me. They both have Guardian Angels now.
Which one will be witnessed more conspicuously? We'll find out.
No stopwatch left for Peanut anymore, so he's going to be dying.
He's got Guardian Angel now.
Yeah. I did get to use that before getting into the Guardian Angel. That's always a feel-good moment.
Teddy is close to his second Zeal item. I guess Rapid Fire Cannon, but again, Shiv for burst is possible.
Nova's still looking for that MVP engage on the Rakan.
You might only need one!
Trying to get it onto the Lucian, but there's the stopwatch and a huge seismic shove. It's going to get KaKAO, but is it enough? They need to kill Teddy. Oh! They are going to be able to kill the Rise in the back line. Teddy's still alive, and look at Sohan. He's not dying just yet. His ult is ticking, but Teddy totally just out of this fight here, not even going in, decides, okay, we lost it. We're not going to be able to win this one, and that's going to be everybody but Teddy going down.
And that's if that's going to be the game. It's got pretty long death time. His game has gone already to 38 minutes, 40 seconds. Teddy's alive, but what can he really do?
Tries to get the knock aside there onto Peanut, but it's not enough. The apprehend is going to get him. One axe takes out Gorilla, but that's going to be the end of it. An ace for Draven as he does go down.
And actually, he takes out the MVP. Gorilla was the MVP of that fight. When you see a replay, he managed to whimsy the Draven, who did no damage for 2.5 seconds. They found the hard CC out of the Lulu of all people, and that should be the game for Kingzone.
Well, let's see if they can actually push in. KaKAO trying his best, but not really doing much, and the TP comes in. Grace and Nova make their way in. The ultimate onto KaKAO is not going to be enough. They're trying to engage here. Moving on forward onto Khan, but he just dunks them, and that's going to be the end. The Nexus is taken out by Prey, and Kingzone in a very long best of 3 take the 2-1.
Weird and wonderful best of 3. A really fun one to watch. They will not lose 3 series in a row. First victory of the season for Kingzone, 1-1. But honestly, not the sort of 1-1 you can do anything other than look a little bit less exhausted about. They did not come in and dominate their opponents. It was very close against Jin Green Wings, and if they are to be this top 3 contender, they need to clean up their strategies. They're away from the Mordekaiser finally. They're away from the Bromgraves, which was a loss for both sides. Only one non-Bromgraves game between the two teams. That was the 3rd one. Exciting one to watch, and sadly for the Jin and KaKAO fans, not the best reintroduction of one of those Hall of Fame LCK players, as the Camille never got her items. The first item, GA, didn't inspire confidence in the end of the game, and didn't either.
Yeah, Peanut able to out-jungle him early on in the game, got the Darius ahead, and that strong Darius was a very big point in that composition for just making Teddy super scared. Took him out earlier on, and you mentioned the MVP plays as well from Gorilla, the whimsy onto the Draven. They didn't have a lot of engage to get onto the back line, but they did have damage in spades, so the front line disappears, and then Teddy, what is he going to do from there? 1v5? It's too hard.
The Camille died instantly, so you might think it was won by BDD, but 2.5 seconds of polymorph duration on the Draven means he did no auto attacks. He just moved around at 60 movement speed, had no CC reduction because there was really no other CC to speak about. But Lulu sneaking in and getting that whimsy was what 100% won the game. It could have still won in a future fight, but that fight was won by the polymorph.
Yeah. Kingzone brought to 3 games by Jinner. Jinner showing that they can at least fight up against one of our stronger teams here, the back-to-back LCK champions, but it was getting close. It wasn't close enough, as it started with this.
Really nice pathing in the first 5 minutes from both junglers, but Peanut just ahead. And when we started to see more than just trade kills, because this on the screen is still trade kills between the two teams, when we started to see straight up kills, as that seismic shove. Great from BDD. That was when Kingzone finally blew open the game, and then Grace dying in the side lane, sinking feeling for Jin Air. You thought they'd close from here, but the game actually was even for the longest time, with Teddy hitting critical mass on the Draven. Seeing some of these fights where Nocturne thinks he's a counterpick Draven, not this Draven anymore. KaKAO being sorry, Khan, I should say, being in the backside, was the true counter.
If Teddy didn't flash back there and he actually just stood and delivered against BDD, a very squishy Taliyah, they could have turned that around. They just didn't have vision on the Darius. A very game-changing fight there.
And Kingzone in the clutch were just slightly better, but that's against a Jin Air team that were one position above the relegation spots in spring season. Fans will take a victory. A victory is still a victory. Watch this fight and notice the polymorph. Prey, absolutely huge in this fight. Draven waiting for his moment. Mundo gets in, and the polymorph means no damage as So1 is tanking. So1 goes further in. Unfortunately for Draven, he's out of the fight the entire time. First thought after getting out of CC was to move away, and sadly Draven, no value. Teddy, no value, and the team fight to Kingzone.
Yeah. We actually saw Mundo die a bunch of times in this game. That's something you can go back and say, hey, there are ways to deal with this Mundo. You don't just have to ban him. And Kingzone in 39 minutes, getting close to our longest game there. They do slowly take the victory. We see another strong mid-Taliyah performance. So again, that pick, you know, it's so strong in the jungle, but then when two players in a row show how strong it is in the mid lane, it just means that it gets even more priority.
Now, in the places where you usually think Taliyah is strong, remember there was an extra variable of Peanut stealing the enemy blue buff multiple times from Ryze. I believe this Ryze would have outpushed Taliyah if not for that blue buff being denied so many times. Taliyah, all her nurse really around. Wave clear, that's why she's so strong in the jungle with single target ganking and monsters to take down. Was able to keep the lane in parity. The moves were nice, the shoves, we know from BDD, they're fantastic. See who gets the MVP, definitely could be him.
It's gonna be Peanut, actually, on the Nocturne. Set up the top side gank and won the jungle big time.
He's getting out of his seat and he's like, oh wait, I'm the MVP, I'm on camera.
Yep, there he is. All the fans gonna be super happy. The cameras launch out of the pockets and the bags of everybody in the studio as they want to take a shot of him. And we're going to be on camera too. Once again, this
come
is going to be a lot
join me
of
over
fun.
here, Valdez.
Yeah, we're going to be in our little corner over here, but I'll let Ji-sun do the translating for the MVP interview.
Thank you very much. This is Ji-sun with their interview translation. So today we're going to have an interview with Khan and Peanut from Kingzone DragonX picking a victory against Jin Air Green Ring. So how do you feel about the victory? After losing the first game, I thought we were in a big problem. But I feel a lot better picking up victory against them in the end. But you guys seem really that much worried during the games. So how was the teamwork going? And Peanut, you were actually subbed in game 2. Well, first game, yeah, I feel really sad about our team because we made so many mistakes. Yeah, it was all our fault. It was not about like Jin Air playing better, but it was all about our mistakes and our bad plays. And Peanut, you might be a little bit exhausted because you went to play for the Asian Games, right? But today, I saw you performing really amazing. So how do you feel right now? Well, I think, yeah, I had to miss some of the practice because of the Asian Games, so I was a little bit worried. But yeah, there was less burden because we already lost out the first set, so I just felt a little bit comfortable. So what are your thoughts about the current meta? Well, during when I was gone for the Asian game, our teammates told that the meta is really crazy. So when I came back, I hope we could find answer of this meta. So Khan, what are your comments about the current meta? Like a lot of top laners say that there are not many champions to play.
더 외로운 싸움이다 이런 얘기도 좀 인터뷰를 통해서 하던데 칸 선수는 지금 현재 메타에 대해서
So what are your thoughts about that?
지휘관 너프 되고 나서는
After the nerf of the banners, yeah, I was really happy. Because when the banner was so strong, I think top laners were even weaker than the minions. But in the current meta, I think there are a lot of stronger champions in top lane, such as like Mundo. So I think, yeah, if you just play your part, I think top laners are still strong enough to perform throughout the game.
그런 얘기 있었어요. 처음에 문도가 등장했을 때 다리우스가 뭐 카운터다 그런데 문도가 생각보다 더 좋더라. 라는 내용들이 좀
Well, what are your
있었거든요.
comments about Darius and Mundo matchup?
잘 플레이도 했었습니다만 문도를 다리우스로 또 잡는 장면들이 나왔잖아요.
Well, I heard,
내부에서의 평가는
I
뭐
think
어떤가요? 아니면
Mundo
뭐
is
칸 선수에게
actually
판단을?
weaker than Darius.
내부에서는 그냥 딱 상성대로 원래 가져갔다라는 게 원래 3경기 세트는 봤으면 딱 그렇게
Yeah,
얘기를 했을
it
것
is
같아요.
true that Darius is a little bit stronger than Mundo.
그냥 좋게 플레이 됐던 것 같아요.
2세트는요? 2세트 문도.
Then what about the game 2?
상성대로 좋게 된 것 같아요.
Well, I think it all went as well as the champion difference, you know. I think Mundo is a little bit weaker than Darius.
팬 여러분께 좀 이상한 부담을 드린 게 아닌가 뭐 이런 생각도 좀 들고
어떤 질문?
전 세계 탑솔로들 헤드
And
방향 넣고
before going into the MS side, you said you were actually going to destroy all the top laners, but so I was feeling so sorry for you asking you such questions.
시켜서 한 게 아니고 제가 한 건데 거기에 뭐
Well, it's me who said the phrase, so you don't have to feel sorry for me.
역시 이런 패기. 그럼 이제 경기 안에 이제 하이라이트 장면을 위주로 좀 말씀을 드리겠습니다.
So let's move on to the games.
놀라운 장면들이 많았었는데
I mean, you made a lot of super plays on your Mundo.
2세트는 모르겠고 2세트는 그냥 전체적으로 다 잘한 것 같아서
I think the game 2 we all played well, so I can't really remember a lot.
죽을 뻔했는데 살아나간 거.
But in the game 1, I was lucky enough to manage to survive in the Baron's Nest, so that's what I remember the most.
한번 짚어드리도록 하겠습니다. 어떤 장면이죠?
Then let's check out the clips from the highlights.
그 장면이에요, 그 장면. 그 장면.
I think this is the one you told us.
네, 이거 좀 설명해 주실까요? 문도 안쪽에 있는 장면.
So how was the situation going?
치고 있어가지고 제가 급하게 투입되는 장면인데 이게 순간적으로 포커싱이 저한테 몰렸는데.
Well, a lot of the enemies were trying to get me down,
상대가.
but I managed to survive there, so I kind of stopped them for getting the Baron.
나 죽은 것 같은데 얘기 한번 하고.
And I actually told my teammates that I almost died.
범현이 형이 살려주겠다 뭐 이런 얘기.
But when I just flashed out of there, Gorilla came to like save me.
그럼 그 이후에 뭐 주요 경기 장면 일단 피넛 선수와도 좀 얘기를 나눠보겠습니다. 피넛이 선택했었던 이 카드.
Then moving on to Peanut,
탈리아에 관련된 위치 때문에 아마 많은 팬들도
where there are a lot of comments going around Talia.
성환 선수가 지명 인터뷰를 통해서 그런 얘기를 했었거든요.
And
탈리아가
Sungwon
열리더라도 실질적으로 밴되는 경우가 많기 때문에 그거를 연습할 수 있는
Well, Talia is
환경이 되지도 않고
usually banned out a lot, so you can't really practice on Talia a lot. And he also said that he doesn't feel like really that much connected with Talia.
뭐 바뀐 게 아니라서 옛날에 미드 탈리아 많이 썼었잖아요.
그렇죠.
Well, you know, there have been some changes going on Talia, but
장물도 솔직히 많이 못 해보긴 했는데.
yeah, I didn't even get a lot of chance to practice Talia jungle.
걱정이 없었던 것 같아요.
But I actually have a lot of experience playing Talia in other lanes, so I think I can play it in some competitive games.
어디로 가는지를 저희가 끝까지 헷갈렸었거든요. 내부에서는 그 생각이 좀 완료되고 비게 된 건가요?
So were you guys trying to play it for mid lane or actually planning to play in the jungler?
뭐가 좋지 하다가 이제 제가 녹턴
Actually, we were not really that sure, but I told my teammates that I'm gonna play Nocturne for jungle, so I think that's how we got the victory in the end.
아, 그렇다면 이번에 그 피넛 선수가 어떤 활약을 했는지 경기 안에서 한번 확인해
Then
드리겠습니다.
let's check out some clips from the highlights with Peanut.
자, 이 장면은 지금 보시는 것처럼 탈리아가 활약했던 장면대로 키를 만들어냈던 그 과정들.
So these are the kill points from Talia and also other champions.
지금 피넛 선수가 떠오르는 장면 중에 가장 인상 깊은 킬이 있다면 뭐였을까요?
탑 역갱이 제일 잘했던 것 같고요.
I think the counter gank on the top lane was the best one.
못한 부분도 많아가지고.
And you know, I made some mistakes in the game 3, so yeah, I feel a little bit sorry for myself.
프로팀 정글러들이 봐도 제 플레이 이번 판 플레이는
You know, all the other jungler in other teams would say I didn't play clean today.
플레이어에게는 필요하겠습니다만 분위기를 반전시키는 팀 내 역할들도 굉장히 중요했던 것 같은데 그런 역할로 따지면 피넛 선수가 완전 만점 역할을 해줬으니까
But after
많은 정글러들도 그걸 보면서
After the game 2, I think Kingzone got your own, you know, rhythm back. So I think it really helped your team a lot.
저게 일단 탑 갱을 보러 간 거였는데.
Well, I was actually trying to gank top lane,
훨씬 더 잘 돼가지고.
and I knew that I was a little bit faster in camping in jungle.
솔직히 게임은 좀 기울었었는데.
So I was sure that I was in the lead.
덩달아 카밀이 와가지고 이제 역갱 느낌이 또 그려져서.
And luckily, we were able to make a point in the top
원래
lane.
끝났었는데. 제가 미드 첫 궁을
So,
미녀한테 공포를 걸어가지고.
I think we were in a huge lead after the top gank, but I made a mistake in the mid lane.
좀 턴이 약간 많이 넘어간
So,
느낌 그런 거였.
The game went close again, so I was a little bit sorry for my teammates.
사실 그렇습니다. 킹존에게 그런 평가도 있었거든요. 이번 여름 굉장히 냉혹할 것이 좀 가혹할
And
것이다. 그만큼
some of the people said it would be a very hard season for you guys.
좀 힘들 수도 있을 것 같고 경기에 대한 그 피로도가 자연스럽게 올라갈 수밖에
You guys could have been really exhausted, or the new meta can be really confusing.
어떻습니까? 사실은 지금도 몇 번 장면 때문에 우려와 기쁨이 뭐
You
교차되는
know,
여러분들이 많이
there are a lot
계시는데
of fans out here supporting for you. So is there any last words to say to your fans?
뭐 올해 스프링도 우승했듯이 이번 썸머도 당연히
Just as we became the champions of the last summer and this spring, so we're gonna keep up with our great performance consistently throughout the season.
참 멘트가 멋지고 아름답긴 한데 간 선수 고맙습니다. 고맙습니다.
Thank you for the great words, Khan.
피너 선수 역시.
네. 뭐 동아 형이 이제 우승이라 해서 저도 우승이라고 말하긴
Well,
하는데요.
as Khan said, we're gonna win the season.
우승보다 롤드컵까지
But I wanna say that
롤드컵까지 보면서 저희가
my goal in the end is to get to the Worlds, right?
롤드컵까지 보면
Even though we might not be consistent during the season, we have a long time till the Worlds.
확실히 말할 수 있는 건 저희도 아직 준비가 안 됐다 생각해요.
Well, I can say that we're not ready for the split right now, so we really have to prepare really hard for our upcoming matches. And you know, summer split is really important for the Worlds Championship, so we're gonna come back with better champion pools and better strategy. Thank you.
사실 굉장히 부담스러울 수 있을 만한 일정을 가지고 있는 킹존, 그리고 특히나 오늘 MVP 패자전 이 두 명의 선수가 되겠습니다. 앞으로도 이 두 명의
So
선수의
this was
멋진 경기를
a very
기대하면서
happy interview with Kingzone DragonX MVPs picking up their first victory of the season. So I'll pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji-sun, for that wonderful translation. Always great to hear from the boys in blue over at Kingzone. It took 3 games, and they weren't short ones, actually. We made a small return back to the older meta, these longer games, the more passive ones we get back in LCK. And it was actually nice to see as a little change from the new meta.
Definitely wasn't the sort of thing that would abate all worries about Kingzone. They do win a match, but it was a labored one. 3 games over 30 minutes in this meta, surprising to see, compared to some of the other teams like Griffin who have taken down their competition easier. But we get a fun one, like you say, after what will be a short break. A little bit extended for some people from other regions, but probably around 15 to 20 minutes. We'll get JAG versus SKT, and that's a World Finals rematch, so it should be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of proving has to be done, too, in that game. You know, SKT can't just come in here and kind of sandbag once again. People are sick of the new non-dominant SKT. They want them to return to the top level. So we'll see if they could do that. And also, if JAG, with a couple of new members added to the lineup, are actually going to continue on their nice little streak.
Both teams with high expectations coming out of 2017. Both of them in different ways underperformed. JAG scraping into the playoffs. I think JAG come in pretty decent favorites, but we've both had a peek at the rosters, and they're looking interesting for the second match.
Definitely a little bit interesting for that one. Prediction would be JAG to win as well, but anything could realistically happen. And guys, because we have gone a little bit later over here, it's 8:16. We're only going to have about a 20-minute break, so we will come back after just that 20-minute break for JAG versus SKT. And until then, we'll see you guys later.